page 11, always look on the bright side of life. Monty Python, Eric Idle. Some things are bad, and they make you mad, and they make you swear and curse, he says. Don't grumble, just whistle. You know, I was going to get up here and be all smart and try to whistle. I found out after 7 years, I forgot how to whistle. I no longer can whistle, but I know how to experience joy. So I'm going to make that choice to always look on the bright side of life, because really, that's the thing that supports my soul's journey. And that's where I want to go with my energy. I'm going to be focusing on this idea the entire month, this idea of joy and appreciation, because it is the Easter month, it is the spring month. It's a time when the sweet peas that we planted earlier start to give us the promise of their blossom. It's the time where we have this regeneration of life after a period of dormancy and darkness and, you know, not much going on. My wisteria vine is ready to just pop open. Yesterday, Dennis, my husband, planted my garden for me. Planted beans and corn and all kinds of good stuff. This is the time of the year when we tap into the creative potential of the season, and the invitation is to tap into the creative potential of your own life. So that's what we're going to talk about. How this garden of life is so complicated. Yes, isn't it? It's very complicated. In January, when I looked out at my rose garden and saw it, that it was nothing but sticks and thorns left over from where my gardener had trimmed all of the old foliage off, getting ready for the spring, it was hard to realize that at that moment of stick and thorn appearance, that by today, here it is, March the 6th, I have a full leafed out rose garden with many, many blossoms ready to burst into the first bloom. The first bloom of roses is always the most beautiful. So it's hard to see that joy and that beauty underneath some of the stuff that goes on in life. But that's what we are called to do. So this idea of starting with this cultivating joy. So what does that look like? Because, you see, joy isn't something that we can buy. It's not something we can package. It's not something we can save. It's not something we can reserve for later. Joy is in the moment. It's right now. It is a quality that belongs to this moment alone. It is a quality that belongs to life itself. It is a quality of the heart. And it's just the moment that we're living. It's this moment. We don't get a chance to save moments of joy and bring them forward. Now, we can have joyful thoughts and joyful memories, but the pure joy is in the moment. So if the thought gives you joy in the moment, that's great. You know, the great Sufi master, LLewellyn Vaughan-Lee, says that joy is a living remembrance of the divine energy that God is. It's a living remembrance of the beauty and the grace and all of those qualities of light and love that we attribute to this energy that God is. And when we can do that, when we can experience this energy, see, joy is an experience. It's a feeling. It's a sense of recognition and appreciation of the moment. That's what it is. And when we can do that, even when we're looking out at the sticks and thorns of the rose garden, and we can go, you know what, I trust that within this thing, whatever it is, grief, any perception of lack, any perception of not feeling well, whatever that thing is, I know that the universe is in control of all the details. I don't need to worry about it. No matter what, no matter how it shows up, no matter how bare the ground might look, no matter how crazy our politicians might look, anybody been watching all that stuff? No matter how insane some of this stuff going on in the world might appear, I have confidence that everything will be all right. And when I have that confidence, it opens me to experience joy in the moment. And when I don't, guess what happens? My life shows up scary and mundane and flat and gray. I love the quote that Martin Luther King is attributed to Martin Luther King. And he says, and I think it speaks to this idea, you know, joy happens within the context of whatever's going on. Now, we don't have to like it. We don't have to give it permission, but we can experience a quality within that thing. Martin Luther King says, even if I were certain that the earth would end tomorrow, I would plant a tree today. This is the invitation. Cultivate joy. Even though it looks really bleak, right now, in this moment, let me plant the tree. Let me plant the seed of joy, no matter what. See, it's this full-hearted recognition that, yes, as the Buddhists say, the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows. It's all of it. Our joys and our sorrows are running on a parallel track. Do you understand how that works? It's both end. And when we get pulled too far away to either side, the joy side or the yucky side, the sorrow side, and don't have the capacity to see the whole thing in balance, it's going to be a problem for us. See? There is this within us, this nagging realization that no matter how much we want it to be different than it is, guess what? It's sure the truth for me, and I'm guessing it may be the truth for you. Have you noticed life isn't perfect? Have you noticed? Stuff happens. Relationships sometimes are rocky. People die. We get sick. Our bank accounts suffer. All of a sudden we have some big surprise that shows up without our permission that we have to deal with in that moment. And so if we expect life to always be perfect and we can only be joyful if it is, guess what? We're going to miss a lot of opportunity to be joyful because life's never going to be perfect in the way we want it to be perfect, because the way we want it to be perfect is the way we want to control it. Yes? It's all about our thing, not the way it actually shows up. We also have to realize that if we're expecting life to feel good all the time, and that we can't be joyful unless we're feeling good all the time, guess what? Again, we miss the moment. For me, I experience joy in a completely different way than Glenda experiences joy. Have you noticed? We have different personalities. I have sort of a quiet, calm recognition of joy. Glenda, oh man, she's going to be dancing and hopping all around and, she gives it a body. Am I making sense here? We all experience joy in our own way. See? We do that. That's how we do it. And so, in my life, my days are not always peppy. How about you? You ever have a day that doesn't feel real peppy? But within that, we can find that moment of joy. We can recognize that moment of joy in the face of the big boxer that keeps eating the couch, see? And see that when you look in the eyes, the couch is another thing, but when you look in those eyes and go, you know what, you're just a magnificent creature. That's the joy. Am I making sense? Now we got to clean the mess up with the couch and figure out what we're going to sit on next. But, I don't know, do they make couches out of concrete and wood? Maybe. Of course, I don't know. You can try that too. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't always feel good. But within that thing, it's what it is, see? It's all of it. It's the joy and the sorrow. And so when we're immersed in this thing that doesn't really feel all that good or isn't showing up the way we want it to show up, if we have the capacity to experience and find the joy in the moment, the eyes of the boxer, the eyes of the infant, the beauty in the rose garden, whatever that thing is for you, we've all got different things that bring us joy. Then the stress and the pain and the conflict and the sorrow, whatever that thing is getting our attention, seems to lift a little bit. This is the antidote. This is the antidote to the couch that's no longer present, right? This is the antidote to the pain and suffering of loss, when we can find the joy in the moment, see? And so I picked this metaphor. I hope it works. I'm not sure it's going to, but see, everything's good. We can appreciate. This is a milkweed. Anybody know about milkweeds? You've got a milkweed in your backyard, Pearl. Guess what milkweeds do? They attract monarch butterflies, and before they are butterflies, what are they? Caterpillars. Okay, David, go to the next slide. Uh-oh. So now the reason I picked this is to try to help us demonstrate the idea that within these experiences, we can find the joy. So now, I've heard this story from several of you. I just see Donna Young walking in, and Donna and Pearl share a common story about monarch butterflies. So if you've ever had this experience in your garden, you're going to understand this. If you haven't, hopefully it'll be meaningful to you. You go out and you have that big, beautiful bush with all those orange flowers on it. Then one day, you come out and it is covered with these guys. And these guys have voraciously been chomping at the milkweed. This is the sorrow part, right? They've been chomping at the milkweed bush, and pretty soon, all you have left are a bunch of sticks and a bunch of creepy, yucky, caterpillar-looking things. Now, some people, when they don't know that there is a potential of joy, try to make this work for yourself, within this situation, pull all the caterpillars off and start squishing them, see, because they're ruining the plant, right? And they don't know, this is what gets in the way of our joy. There's this impatience factor that doesn't know yet that if you just wait long enough, all those creepy, slithery, darn caterpillar things turn into cocoons and chrysalises. David, go to the next slide for me. David, go to the next. Thank you. Watching a movie, I think. Within 30 days, 28 to 38 days, this is what you get. You get your monarch butterfly pops out, and guess what happens to the milkweed? It regenerates itself and starts itself all over. It's no longer just a bunch of sticks. This is how our life works, folks. We see this stuff going on, we panic, we get impatient, we awfulize it, we move into this pessimistic place of fear, like, oh my God, the plant's never going to be the same. And we don't realize that within a short period of time, if we can write it out, whatever that thing is that's sorrowful for you, if we can write it out, it's going to blossom into a place where we can recognize the joy within the experience. Did that make any sense to anybody? Yeah, good, I hope so. See, when we're impatient and we're rigid, we miss the opportunity to find the joy. It's just that simple, because joy is in the moment. So next time you see a caterpillar eating up one of your favorite bushes, if you're willing, wait until it turns into a beautiful butterfly and see. So how do we cultivate this joy? Well, LLewellyn Vaughan-Lee says to bring joy back into life, we have to say yes to what is. Say yes to our own divinity, to say yes to the experience, because if we're not willing to do that and allow life to reveal itself to us, the divine dance, like with the milkweed plant and those creepy crawlies, that then eventually turn into this magnificence. If we don't let life reveal its magnificence to us, we're missing the joy. See, we have to decide, is our life wreckage? LLewellyn Vaughan-Lee says, do we see our life as wreckage? Do we see the world as wreckage? Do we see the political system as wreckage? Do we see relationships as wreckage? Do we see whatever, our bank account as wreckage? Or do we see it as a place that has potential in it? As a place that has potential for a new possibility to birth itself? Now, we can't make it happen, but what we can do is within our own transformative soul's journey, we can make room for the joy. We can allow ourselves to be patient with the experience and let the joy take place on its own. You see, we cultivate the conditions that are necessary for the joy to reveal itself. And part of that is to be willing to see a different perspective, to step away from the awfulizing, to step away from the fear and the cynicism and the pessimism of our life experience, to make room for something new, to stretch into something new. We don't really know. All I know is, I love Daniel's song, I don't need to know because God knows. The universe knows what it's doing. It doesn't always look like it, but it does. And so if I can just be awestruck, Jan Bates, if I can get into awe and wonder in the moment, it changes everything. It absolutely changes everything. Jan is awe, her covenant with common ground. It has to be away from this is awful. This is, awfulizing our life gets us in lots of trouble so that I can move into full appreciation living. and step into that dynamic dance of creativity, of openness, of allowing life to reveal itself in the moment. I don't have to necessarily like it. It doesn't necessarily have to feel good. And I don't necessarily have to be all peppy about it. But when I can open up to the moment as it is and find something within that to be grateful for, to be joyful for, to find grace and beauty, this is the assurance that things are okay. So here's your invitation. Just say yes. Say yes to whatever it is. You don't have to like it, but say yes to it. It is what it is. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? It's presented itself. The butterfly ate the bush. What are you going to do? The dog ate the couch. What are you going to do? Going to go around being mad? Going to go around being pessimistic and think the world's over? No. You're going to open to the possibilities. You're going to make your life itself, the life that you're living as a soul, an expression of wonder and joy. You're not going to get into that icky stuff along with whatever that thing is that's happening, see? And that's the way you have full appreciation living. Eric Idle says, just to always look on the bright side of life. Give a whistle. And that is the antidote to despair and to the sorrows of life. Thank you for listening.
That's Judy and I. I actually saw that picture and I thought about us when we were cracking up over something. That's what touches something deep down in me, is when I'm laughing, and I'm cracking up and we're, I don't know, over something really dumb, and we are laughing our heads off. Then I touch this crazy part of us, and all of us have that deep part of our being that is, filled with joy. The best definition I ever heard of joy is from a Greek word called charos, and it's called good. It means good mood of the soul. Don't you love that? The good mood of the soul. So what that tells me is that we all are in a good mood. We just don't know it, right? We just don't know it, right? We have a good mood down there somewhere, somewhere in our soul. We're happy as can be. It's just that sometimes we're not connected to that. See. And when it said good mood of the soul, I'm thinking, you each have a soul. The soul is this incredible, joyful, divine, infinite, eternal part of you that doesn't die. That's who you are. And that's the joyful part. That's the part that we can tap into anytime.